This video is intended to show how to take off or to start the A320, configure it for the flight, to taxi, to take off, navigate, and to land and approach at the destination airport. We'll be taking off from Heathrow, landing in Brussels. So that is Egll going to Ebbr. I use a program or a web system called SimBrief. I'll just place that there. You can see here it is. Some of the stuff is not necessarily intended or needed, i.e. Airline flight numbers, but your departure, as I said, Egll, your arrival, Ebbr, Brussels, your alternative. Should you run into a problem, that's where you would go. Date, given airframe. Now I'm using the stock Airbus 320 Neo. I've heard a lot of conversation about the stock aircraft isn't ready for or fit for flight in FS20. We're about to find out. I will say a bit of a caveat. I'm not an expert at this. I'm not a pilot. I only know what I know. Those that can help me, I appreciate. Those that want to be naysayers and tell everybody that I'm doing it wrong, keep your opinions to yourself because I'm not interested. Otherwise, I welcome your input to get better. So that's the purpose of the video. We'll see how far we get. I may find myself needing to create a second video because this one might get long. We'll see how the editing goes and so forth, and if I can condense it into one video. So this SimBrief, create yourself an account, log in, go ahead, create a flight, put the particulars in, pick this or pick your airframe that you're intending to use. You will see that there are a number of suggested routes. These are given routes that you would anticipate a flight taking place from Heathrow to Brussels would actually use. The map you're seeing now is the map in which the plan or in which the route I'll be taking. Again, these are not routes that you have to take. These are just excuse me. These are just routes that I've decided to pick randomly. I'm not suggesting this is the best route to go from London to Brussels. Just this is the route that is in SimBrief. And so I can pick it. You can analyze your route and you can actually see that your route is valid for Iraq 1903. I'm not sure that I understand what that means. I know that there's a system in here that you can pay for the service to get an updated Iraq. I haven't, and it's not needed. The route is 347 miles in complete length. So we'll probably take off and show you how to configure lift off, climb out, get to altitude, cruise speed, and so forth. And I'll probably cut out the vast majority of the in-between stuff. Maybe pop in from time to time to explain certain parts of it. These are all of the intersections or NDB, VORs, and so forth that we will be going through to get to our destination. I have a bit of a tickle in my throat, so I'll apologize if you hear dead space. That's because I'm muting my mic so I can clear my throat. Right, so without further ado, I've entered all this information in. We will generate the OPP. I don't know what that actually stands for, but I'm sure somebody can comment and explain what it is, but we'll just generate it. You want to confirm the flight? Yes, we do. It's just saying that I had a previous flight number listed at this flight number. You could input this directly in to FS20 at the starting screen, and I'll kind of show you where you would do that. I'm not going to do that because I want to start cold and dark and show the start procedures and so forth of it. But this is the given flight. You can where is that? It is here somewhere, so I'm not seeing it though. There it is, right there. So there's varying different flight simulators that you can use, and there's a pile more up there and below and so forth. For this demonstration, we're going to pick this one here, and I'm going to download it. And, whoops, there we go. So I also use Plan G. Lots of people probably understand what Plan G is, but for those that don't, I'll show it. Open. I'm just going to import the flight plan in there. New. Open. Download. Okay. So I'll let it populate, and then I'll drag it over. We don't need this window any longer. So this is Plan G. There's a number of extra windows that I'll just kind of move over so you can see. These are all little flight points that we're planning to go through in order to get to where we're going. And we're leaving here, which is Heathrow. You can see the elevation is 75 feet and so on and so on. If you look at the sim brief, it will give you all that detailed information, runway elevations and all that good stuff. Right. I will move this out of the way. I don't want this isn't a tutorial about Plan G, but this is just the route in which I'm going to be taking. When I get on ground, I'll come here, click on this, and it'll show my aircraft right there, and then I can follow my aircraft flying through here, but I'm also going to follow it actually on the aircraft's navigation panels and so forth. So let me just pull that over, get this out of the way, and that out of the way. So if I wanted to, I could come in here and load the flight plan. I'm not going to, but it's as simple as click there, click load, browse to the file, click on it, and it'll load it, and it'll put it in. But I don't want to do that because I want to start here at the ramp, 231 parking, and we're going to click on fly. You can see I'm using the Airbus A360 Neo. We'll click on that. I'm going to adjust the flight characteristics a little bit. I like to fly with traffic, so I'm going to leave that in. I will fly at daylight, only because I think it's easier to make the tutorial rather than flying at night. The FMS allows us, the flight management system allows us to fly in kind of pretty much any daylight weather, zero visibility or full visibility. That's the whole purpose of it. While this is loading, I'm going to explain a little bit about at least some of the things that I've heard about Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and its, I don't know if I would like to say failure, although I've heard it, that the simulator is not ready for release. I've heard some complaints about it doesn't function, the autopilot doesn't work. The systems don't work. Yes, there are a number of systems that are inoperative. I suspect that they'll be fixed along the way. But what I've discovered is, in coming from X-Plane and earlier than that FSX, I got used to flying the way I thought I should fly, or the way that aircraft flew and systems and so forth. I'm discovering that the A320, like it's intended to fly basically by the computer, and the pilot isn't necessarily flying the aircraft. The pilot is monitoring, and somebody can comment if I'm explaining this wrong. If you're an A320 pilot, please comment about this, because if I'm wrong, I'd like to know that. So we find ourselves sometimes trying to fly in the FSX world, where we use the autopilot panel, which is this panel over here. And we're so used to doing that. But the A320 seems to be fairly complex, and it has computerized systems to do a lot of the flight management for you, as much as the complete descend and land on the runway. It will do everything for you. Put it down on the ground, and it will be perfect as long as you have everything configured correctly. I don't know enough on how to do that. We'll probably release another video, several in the series about the A320. I've done some on the King Air 350. I intend to do some on the Caravan, Grand Caravan, and probably other aircraft as well. But this is just to show people that the aircraft does take off, it does fly, it does all these things very well. It doesn't do it if you don't want the aircraft to fly the way it was intended to fly. Then you need to know how to shut all these systems off. You need to know how to shut that FMS system off and the managed systems and so forth. You need to know how to shut them off. And if you don't know how to shut them off, then you're left with some of those things still acting and taking control when you think they're not. Things like auto throttle and auto climb auto climb, flex, and full power. All of these things do some pretty weird things that we, the FSX community, may not be used to doing, except for maybe some advanced true A320 pilots. So here we are on the ground at our parking spot 231 on the ramp in Heathrow, or at Heathrow, I should say. I'm going to go through the startup procedure, but first we're going to get some power to the aircraft. We're going to plug in the flight plan that I showed you on Plan G as well as on SimBrief. I'm going to plug all of that in. I'm going to show you how that gets plugged in. And with some luck, I'm going to be able to do that fairly seamlessly. Bear with me if I forget some of the steps because there's a lot going on, and of course I'm not a pilot, nor am I an A320 pilot. So without further ado, let's get started. A couple of helpful tips that I learned. Control 8 takes us to the overhead panel center view. Control 5 takes us down to the FMC view. And I think it's Control 1 that takes us to this panel or this view, which you can scroll out and pivot up and down and look around the cockpit. This is the view that I will show you some of the stuff. I will probably not use the throttle quadrant view and the FMC view as much. I will for the actual programming, likely. So let's get some power to the aircraft. We'll go up. We'll look at the overhead. We want to have external power turned on. What's this button here? We're going to power up the APU. I hope you're able to hear. Let me turn up some of the ambient sounds a little bit because I hope you're able to hear. So we're getting power to the aircraft. We're going to turn these dials on. I don't know the correct reasoning behind for them. I just know that it will allow these screens to turn on for us. That's the bottom line. And what these screens are called, please bear with me because I actually don't know what they're called. So I will be using the pointer to kind of say, well, look here, look here, look here, that sort of thing. Anyways, back up to the top we go. Whoops, that's not the top. That's the top. So we got external power turned on. We've got that turned on. Then we need to have the APU turned on. We're waiting for this light to come on. So when you turn this on, and actually the bottom line is you're supposed to have some lights on to indicate to the ground crew that you're actually doing something here. But I'm waiting for the command in order to start the APU. One of the things that I made the mistake in is that I just believed it would start, hit the master switch, hit this, and away we go. We're ready to go. One other thing that I think I did forget, and that is the pump. Yes, we got to have fuel. I'll turn them all on. So our APU will start. with any amount of luck, and you can see it's starting to the end, whatever is climbing, and it's starting to fire. Once this switches, which should switch, then we'll turn the APU bleed on. We could also get ground power if we wanted to, but I'm sorry, we could actually start the APU and remove ground power and all that kind of stuff, but we're not going to. Is that turned on? Yes, that is. Okay, so we're going to step down here and we're going to start looking at the programming of the flight management system. So down, oops, I think what we'll do is we'll do that. There we go. Right, so this will come online eventually. I sure hope so anyways. This warning here that you have, you want to hit the clear button. That will clear it out. There's a couple of primary things, and I'm sure there's more to this panel in terms of configuration. I'm only going to explain the portion of which I understand. The initialize page. So the from and the to. Well, the from and the to is E. Where's the G? Where's G? Is it LL? Yes, it is LL. And slash. And we are going to Brussels, right? Yes, E B B R. R. So this is the system that which we put it in. We will put it here. And we will say return. This is only if you have existing flights like this that you've selected and entered in. If you've done them, they'll be in here and you can pick those. I haven't done this flight before, so there's none to be picked from. But if there were, I could pick, you know, if I had flown many different routes, I would have them saved in here, and I could say, well, today I want to fly this route, tomorrow I want to fly that route, and so on and so on. I could pick it and go. I don't have, I will return. There it is. Cost index. Near as I can understand, cost index is how efficient you want your climb out, your cruise, your descent to actually be. I'm presuming that the higher the cost index, the more throttle it might take up. It might climb out at a faster speed or a slower speed and that sort of thing. Typically, I use a cost index of 100. Somebody might help me understand that better, but that's the cost index that I use for it. The cruise and the temperature. Well, the cruise is the altitude in which we're cruising to. We're flying 300 miles. We're probably gonna let's get ourselves to 30,000 feet, shall we? 30,000 in here is 300. I know it's confusing. It was to me. For you rookie pilots who don't get it, it is confusing. It was very confusing to me why we wouldn't type in 30,000. But 30,000 is indicated by 300. So we can, and we think that we should put a slash plus a temperature, but watch what happens. It's suggesting at a 30,000 flight, the temperature will be minus 42 degrees. Whether that's true or not, I got it. Honestly, I don't know. I can't tell you. But we have our flight number, CA101. I could change that because if I remember correctly, I had set my flight number to 1021. So let's do that. 1021, and that's going to be my flight number. There we go. Oops. Yeah, that's good enough. We'll just leave it like that. That's the initialize page as much as I use it for. I suspect there's other things that I don't know how they work and what to do and so forth, but this is what I use it for. The PERF, I understand it to mean performance. If you go to performance page 119, sorry, I backed that up, that's wrong, 115, is your V1. 119 is your VR, or rotate. 122 is your speed, in which, the way I've been explained, is it's the speed in which there is no return. You can't turn back. When you hit 122, you are going to take off. So, you know, if the aircraft is not doing what it's supposed to do up to that point, too bad, so sad, you're taking off. We are going to take off. Let me just scroll in here a bit. It has me taking off. Airport diagram. What I'm doing is in Plan G, I'm pulling up this little window right here, and you can see it wants me to take off from 09 left. So I'm departing from here, and I'll be just taking off and departing that way, which is fine by me. I can depart at runway 09 left. Right. In the performance page that we're in, there's phases. What that actually means, I couldn't tell you, but you'll see this. There'll be next phase and there'll be previous phase. Next phase, this is your climb out. It is, with a cost index of 100, it is recommending that you're going to climb out at a speed of 172 knots. You can override that and you can say, no, you know what, I don't care about that. I want to climb out at a different speed. It would just be as simple as typing in your climb out speed and pushing it in there. I don't do it. I let the aircraft climb out on its own. I think it would change it if I was flying with a group of people that were intending to fly at a different rate of speed, climb outs and stuff like that, then I probably would. We'd all sync ourselves to climb out at the same rate of speed. Otherwise, I leave it. Now, the next phase is the cruise. The cruise speed is 250. That's at a cost index of 100 again. This one I'm going to change. I'm going to change it to 290 knots, and I'm going to put it there, which means the managed wants to put it at 250. However, because I've selected 290, it's going to go to 250, and it will adhere to this manual selection in the FMS and say, okay, nope, we're not doing 250, we're going to do 290, and it's going to go up to 290 and hold 290. Next phase, this is our descent. Again, the same thing. Our descent is set at 250 with a cost index of 100. I don't like to descend that fast. I prefer to descend at somewhere around 220. I do this because I need a lot of time to set myself up. This flight is not going to, I'm not intending to land using ILS. That'll be for another tutorial on how we do that. This is only going to take us off, put us in approximate lineup with a runway or with the airport, and we will get ourselves lined up and we will make our approach from there. I believe next phase is irrelevant, or I never do anything here. Again, I'm sure there's stuff in here that can be put in and so forth. But this is the end of the phases that I've used. So we got descent, we've got cruise, we've got climb, we've got our takeoff page. We're taking off from 09 left. V1 is 115, rotate is 119, and V2 or decision is 122. Our transition altitude is 10,000. We will be setting for 10,000, and once we hit 10,000, we will then change and we will begin our climb to 30,000. I'm not going to adhere and listen to ATC, although I could, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to adhere and listen to what I have filed as a flight plan. Right. So we are going to now go to the flight plan, and that's indicated by F space or dash PL end. So here is the from, here is the decel, and here is the to. It is important to put your waypoints in, and it is important to put your waypoints in after the previous one that you put in. So it starts from here, so we click that. There's the next waypoint. Now I'm going to move this over so you can see the plan that I plan to put in. I won't put this in because that is not a recognized point in here. It won't know what it is. I will put in EPM. So it's as simple as, whoops, where's it? EPM. So EPM, put it in, and there it is, EPM. So it wants me to select an EPM. So we can do that by understanding the flight plan. Hang on now. I should move this over so you can see what I'm looking at. This is Plan G, the EPM, which is right here. I should move that window over. So I put my cursor on there, and you can see that the latitude is N51 degrees, 19, and so on. If that N51 is probably enough to determine which is the one we should pick. Move that out of the way. Move that out of the way. And you can see there's N51. So that's the one. Not to mention, if you look at the miles, you can see here, this one is 802 miles away, so it's likely not that one. This one is 4,048, so it's not likely not that one. This one is 10 miles away. Good chance that's it. But those are two ways to verify. Oops. Pressed the button there by mistake. So we'll pick that one, and it is now filed. So our next point that we want to add in starts from here. So EPM, and click this, and our next one is DET32. DET32. Enter. Not found in database. Again, I think that's one of those things that are not actually really a part. Got a feeling that all of these fixed ones that we're seeing here don't really exist, so we'll use this one here, VIP. So we'll clear that entry, and we'll go VIP, and we'll try to put that one in, and it goes in. Excellent. So there it is. The next one I'll pick is from here again. Saskai. Oops, that's too many. Enter. Saskai. Lop IK. Lop IK. Enter. Boom. Now you notice that that last transition, or that last point I put in, doesn't show. That is because these arrows. If I click on that arrow, now you see it. So you have to be aware of that because this page is only so long. So we'll pick that one. And now Pro. Now Pro. Enter. So again, you can see it wants us to pick. I won't go through the exercise because I can see it's 4,800 nautical miles away. That's likely not. It's probably this 243 nautical miles. So I'll pick that one. Again, you don't see it. I'm going to go up. There it is. Pick that. And we're going to repeat ourselves. Bud IP. Bud. IP. Boom. And arrow. And there it is. Next. And so this is the process that we do. We're almost done. So in fact, that was the last one. That is the last one. That is our flight plan. You can see it. It starts at Heathrow and goes through these transitions, or these intersections or points, decel, and our airport. You have to hit insert in order to insert this into the FMS. If you don't, it will not take. You could erase anything you've put in by using erase, which is picking which will be the last point you put in. I believe that's the way it works. I'm not going to do that. We'll go, if we need to, we'll go into detail of that later. So I click, boom, it turns red or green. That plan is in place. I can see it, it's in place. Now we're going to look at our screen here, and you're going to see, by the way, you see everything straightened up here. Let's just look at our overhead one more time. There's that. There we go. So you can see that it is now available. Our APU is now available. In theory, we could shut, we could shut this external power off. Let's put our batteries on. I think that was a system that I was supposed to do ahead of time. I was supposed to put the batteries on, then turn the external power on. But I am on APU. I could effectively shut external power off if I wanted to, I think, but we won't. We won't bother with that. Where am I here? Where am I? Yes, all right. Okay. So now go here, and we go here. So this screen here is the screen I'm going to be looking at, kind of talking about. You can see this green line. Unlike a flight plan in, let's say, King Air or whatever, which uses navigation, that line is magenta or pinkish like. In here it's green. Why? Don't know, couldn't tell you. These dials are the navigation mode, and so I can see that we are going from here, from Heathrow, taking off. Can I scroll a little tighter? I can. So you can see we're taking off from Heathrow. We're flying to this intersection, and we're turning off, and we're going that way. If I zoom out, that's this dial, it will show us 160 or as much as 320 out. And you can see the entirety of the plan. It's very condensed. But if I showed you on Plan G, you would see exactly this exact same thing. Take off, fly, fly, fly around, and come in. We should maybe drag that over quickly. Move this back over out of the way. So you can see this is the flight plan taking off from here, coming around. And it just so happens we are coming in. We're not actually intending to come in on any one of these particular runways. We're just coming in from this direction, and we'll probably come into one of these two ILS runways. I won't do an ILS landing again. Like I said, that's a different conversation, and we'll go over that in a different video. This is just to show you how to take off and navigate to a given airport, and using a flight plan with the flight management system. Right, so we'll zoom that back in, and we'll do something like that. Okay, so we are effectively ready for, I guess, engine start. Yes, let's make sure engine, I put the bleed on. I don't remember if I did that. APU bleed is not on. It is on now. APU bleed has to be on in order to start the engines. If the APU bleed is not on, it will not start. The engines will not start. Batteries are on. Yes, perfect. Now, let's go down to the throttle quadrant area. No, sorry, let's go down to the throttle quadrant area. And let's just talk about this just ever so slightly before we get going. So what we're looking at here is obviously the throttle quadrant. Parking brake is here. Speed brake and flaps are there. I have a control button that's set to pull full speed brake out. Oops. That's enough of that nonsense. And I have an autopilot panel to do flaps, but you can see the flaps are functioning. Over here is the starters, and this dial is what turns the engine to start. The other buttons here, don't know what they do. They're not functional. This would be starting engine 1, starting engine 2, or effectively starting in the left board and the right board engine. I'm explained that you'll always start the right first. I'm not sure If that's true, that's just the way I was explained and told, so that's what we will do. Your gear up lever is here. Again, I have a button on my controller set up so that I will use gear up and gear down using that controller, but so you won't see me reach here to pull the gear up. I will enunciate the gear up, gear down, flap up, flap down stuff. I certainly will try to remember to do that. So we're going to start the right board engine, and if I've done everything correctly, it should start. So here we go. It's as simple as doing that and doing that. That should effectively start it. So we'll go out and we'll see if we can't see it actually starting. And you can see it's firing and turning. So I'm going to pop inside here momentarily and we'll see it actually come to life. So it's spinning. Let's go inside and have a look at that. We're going to go back to 5 so we can look and see engines. And you see it's coming to life. Waiting for N1, 19% I believe it is for the good start. Sorry, that's 19 right here. Don't know if that's a percentage, but it's 19. The indicator is 19, which would be considered to be a good start. Available. Done. Engine is running. We are good. We now go over and can I not get down there all the way? Come on. Ah, shoot, I can't. Okay, well, let's do that. And let's turn this. And we'll start engine number 2. And we'll shut off the, oops, that's not right. We'll leave that running. I hope I haven't bucketed that up. No, I haven't. Good. So I won't look outside, but you can see it's coming alive. And here it is. It's starting to come up. Technically, I've made an error. I won't beat myself up too terribly much about it, but that is the reality. Is I should not have both engines running for pushback, because both engines, as I understand running, would make it very difficult for the tug to push us with them there. You see the line here. This indicator is indicating that I'm intending where I'm intending to take off from. ATC should know because I filed my flight plan to take off from runway 09 left, and so it's planned this route out for me, so I don't have to use the runway or the taxiways and understand where I'm going to go, and so on and so on. So I'm going to use the default pushback system. I don't have the better pushback. There are systems that you can use for that, but I don't have them. I believe I have ATC turned off purposely so we don't have that droning around in the background. We're going to clearance. Tower, services, request pushback. So the pushback, when you're in the aircraft, if I remember correctly, if you're in this view, the right and left actually makes sense. We'll find out. My intention is to push the tail right, and I believe that I hit right, and it should push the tail right. If not, we'll quickly make an adjustment and turn it left. Oh, we got to go back in the aircraft and remove the park brake. Park brake off. Look outside. See it's rolling forward. There we go. He's connected, and you see he's turning right. I'll just let him turn it right. Once it turns itself right to the point where I'm comfortable to taxi out, I will hit straight and then stop. That's good enough. So straight and stop. I'm going to go back into the cockpit. Put the park brake back on. We'll just look outside, make sure the tug is gone. And the tug is gone. Perfect. So we are pushed back. We're going to clearance. Going to ground services. We don't want to push back. We want to... Oh, I've got to turn this back to there. And I want to shut off. Right, I want to shut off the APU. Shut it off. APU bleed. Done. Our engine is running. We are ready for taxi. We will put our logo light on. We will put our taxi light. Oops! Put our taxi light on. And we're going to get that closed off, and we're going to go to our standard view. Scroll back. Right. For those that don't know, Control or left Control plus the number pad period button turns on and turns off the park brake. I will do it manually so you can see it, but let me just show you. I'm doing the keyboard function. You see it turn on, turn off. That was left Control and period on the number pad. So we'll turn the park brake off, and our park brake is off. And we are ready to taxi. We will begin our taxi. I'm going to go to the threshold, and ordinarily you wouldn't stop for an extended period of time at the threshold, but in this case I'm going to, because I want to explain some things about the throttle and so forth. I may find the need to pause the video. We've been recording for 42 minutes, and that has made this video fairly lengthy, so I may stop the video at the threshold and start a new video showing the takeoff and stuff like that, just because I don't want the video to get too lengthy. Mind you, I can edit. No, you know what, I will use the takeoff. I'll do the takeoff first, and then we'll pause the video there, I think. Let me get it to a taxi end. Maybe I should stop being so indecisive. I really don't want the videos to be too terribly long, because I know that I get, I don't know if frustrated is the right word, but I get, yeah, just it's annoying to hear somebody drone on about a bunch of things that I'm not particularly interested in, although you can fast forward. Having said all this, I haven't put a plug in for the YouTube channel. Stream Gamers is the channel in which I'm going to be streaming live content to. I am a part of a flight group called Fly-by-Wires with an S.net. That's the website. And I have been posting to there as well. The only thing is that I play a multitude of games, and I want to capture all of them rather than just the flying simulation part. So I have started a YouTube channel called Stream Gamers with a Z. So here we go. Here we go. And you can see the line, the blue line is stopped, and it is stopped at that threshold over there. In which case I will pull into that threshold, and I think I will do just that. I will pause the video and we will create a new video beyond this point. That will encompass the that will encompass the next stage of this video. So parking brake, boom, done. So that is going to be the first series of this video. My intentions are to finish it off, but that shows you how to start the aircraft from cold and dark. It shows you how to get the APU up and running and ground power. It shows you how to input a flight plan into the flight management system. It shows you how to start the engines, and it shows you how to push back. And if you're looking from the outside of the aircraft, your rights and left are based on looking out the outside of the aircraft, looking to the front, or sitting in the cockpit looking to the front. When you see right, then it means you will turn the tail right. See left, it means you will turn the tail left. Explains how to create the flight plan using SimBrief. It also shows you how to use Plan G briefly and explains where to get the intersections and so forth for creating the flight plan. So that's the video as we speak. I will recreate another one, or I'll create another video which will show the taxi rest of the way to the runway, the departure climb out, and explain some of the autopilot functions and the FMS, or the flight management systems, as to what it's going to do or not going to do. And we may break that up into yet another video before we get the approach and landing. So without further ado, stream gamers, my name is Raymond. I would appreciate a like and subscribe if you're interested in this type of content and other content. If not, that's fine. No need to. It's not. I'm not being sponsored in any way. My intentions are not to necessarily grow the channel. Although if it does, hooray for it. If we keep it as a small little group, that's okay too. I just want to show what I know and explain and dispel some of the myths about varying different aircraft and in flight FS 2020, and how poorly the aircraft are designed, and they don't work, and they don't do this, and they don't do that. You will see that so far to this point, everything has gone off relatively well. Proof will be in the pudding and the takeoff and the climb out and so forth. I have fairly good confidence that it will work. If not, I will record another one, because that just means that I've missed a step. Right, without further ado, that's it for me. Goodbye, be safe, enjoy life, because that's what we are supposed to do. And coin the phrase, be happy, is something that's pretty important to me. So why don't you all be happy?